LUNCE'S LIST, LUNCE'S LIST, oh. LUNCE'S LIST of 5. LUNCE'S LIST of 5. LUNCE'S LIST of 5. LUNCE'S LIST of 5.
I like for that thing to exist all the way through.
Sorry,
so
I'm
I
not
can.
sure
No, you're good. John, name your 5 favorite movies other than 2001: A Space Odyssey, which we all know you love and enjoy and will put on every list that you possibly can. Other than 2001: A Space Odyssey, name your 5 favorite movies that feature terrifying technological advances.
So terrifying comes off as horror movie to me, but I don't see a lot of horror movies. So terrifying is not a horror. I didn't go with terrifying in terms of horror movies. I went terrifying in
scenario.
There's nothing scary about that movie, but what if?
See, that I'm fine with that.
Okay.
No, I don't need it to be blood and guts. I need it to be
Because none of these are.
I need
Rams
it
and
to
ROMs.
raise questions where you're like, what does this mean for us as a species? That's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
that's pretty much what I did.
All right, and I'm willing to take anybody in the chat that has their version of Lunce's List. We call it the at-home edition, thanks to Brian Pavlik. I think he gets a nickel for every single time that's mentioned here on the show. So, John, is there anything you need to do to set up this list, or are you ready to rock and roll?
Let's go.
Let's go with number 5 on Lunce's List. These are the 5 movies that John enjoys that feature terrifying technological advances or raises terrifying questions that we don't yet have the answers to, maybe, over what technology could mean for us in this solar eclipse type future.
Number 5, The Island.
Number 5, The Island.
By the way, it got a lot brighter outside and then started raining, so it's the same kind of darkness pretty much.
I never noticed any difference whatsoever.
Only because
It's almost like y'all are
I
indoors.
didn't either until
we
you
opened the window. I
said
just been
something.
staring at it the entire time. It's like it got a little brighter, and then it started raining, so it got back dark. Very
It's
disappointing.
raining outside. It's not raining in here, so I don't notice anything.
Very disappointing eclipse today. Anyway, The Island, my favorite guilty pleasure, bad movie, Michael Bay film starring Ewan McGregor, Scarlett Johansson. So the tech here is cloning technology, and basically, even just saying that essentially spoils it. But it's a movie from like 20 years ago. So
Look, at this point, I don't have a problem with spoilers when it comes to these movies. You're supposed to be making the point of why they are terrifying technological advances.
all of these movies have been out well long enough for you to have seen it by now. So basically the whole point of the movie is they clone people. Like, let's say I was really rich. I went into them and said, hey, I have a heart condition, so clone me a perfectly healthy John clone. And then when my heart gives out, I can just get my own heart, basically. I don't have to worry about, like, finding a donor. My donor is myself, the clone that you made of me. But the whole premise is they basically take these clones and put them in a facility and tell them the world has ended. And you live in this facility, you eat super healthy meals and like get built basically to peak physical shape. So that way, when it's time to get my heart, it's a perfectly healthy heart. And you win the lottery at that point. And when you win the lottery, they tell you they're taking you off to a paradise island. That's the only place on earth that's been untouched by whatever has happened in the world. And what they really do is they take you and they cut your heart out and kill you. So it's
lottery.
I thouut you said these weren't violent. I just feel
it's
lied to.
Michael Clark Duncan, pretty good in it as well. Sean Bean's the bad guy in it. It's a really well done movie, but it's all about the technology of like cloning and the effects of not just cloning just to have a clone, but the cloning and what does the clone feel, basically, like what is on that side. So Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson are clones of famous people out or rich people out in the real world. I think Scarlett Johansson's like a famous person. Ewan McGregor's just like an independently wealthy person. And they try to escape out in the real world. Steve Buscemi is like a maintenance worker there and helps them escape out to the real world. But it's very much about, hey, when you clone somebody, how does the clone feel? It's not about how you feel because you're the exact same. All they do is take some DNA and clone somebody. So that's kind of more the terrifying part is like when you clone something, how is the clone supposed to actually feel within the world?
I've never seen this movie. Tyler, have you seen this movie?
I have not.
Rockstar?
Nope, I see this on TNT all the time.
It's definitely a TNT, TBS, USA,
Yeah, this one
FX kind
pops
of
up
movie.
a lot.
Yeah.
Is it rated R?
No, PG-13.
PG-13.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not. It sounds very violent. It's not
It does.
really violent.
It does.
Anyway, it's a good one. I do recommend it. It's definitely a Michael Bay movie when you watch it, but futuristic, pretty cool.
Let me
Good
just do a
actors in it.
quick spoiler here of asking about the list. Would 2001: A Space Odyssey had been number 1 on your list if it was?
It would
able
have
to
been
be-
number 2.
Okay.
The AI of HAL 9000 would have been probably number 2.
Okay. Let's go to number 4 on Lunce's list, counting down the 5 movies that remind us that technology, maybe not our friends. Or if it is our friends, there's consequences into relying on it to continue to achieve previously unachieved human feats.
Freaky Friday. Oh,
Tron.
Number 4, Tron.
Let me explain.
I think there's another Tron coming out at some point.
Supposedly, it's been back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I think them doing the roller coaster is the biggest sign of, hey, they may actually go forward with it because they got to sell some merchandise. But imagine, okay, Tron, Jeff Bridges. There's like this ray that shoots him and brings him into the computer world. Imagine if people got their hands on that technology, and the government even got their hands on that technology, to where basically I could shoot a ray at you and it would put you right here. And basically you could create a digital prison for people, but you could also get the wrong hands get on that tech and create a digital prison that I could just take the ray and go, and all of a sudden you live in the computer and I have you locked in the computer forever. Your entire being has been put inside the computer. The tech in the wrong hands with that could be terrifying. Because, he gets to go on the computer and, be a part of the video game that he likes to play in the arcade. But
if you were to put that tech in the hands of Lance Taylor, you'd end up in a recycle bin for the rest of your life.
yeah.
correct.
That would be devastating.
Permanently deleted.
Where you live in 404 page error?
I mean, pretty much. Now, like, the world of Tron Legacy, the way they brought it into the 21st century, I thought was really cool. And it's like, hey, that actually probably be fun to live in. But if you think about it from the standpoint of, I literally could just zap you into my computer and put you on a hard drive and then bust the hard drive and you're dead at that point. I mean, it's kind of terrifying when you think about what the technology could actually be used for. So that's why it's like, Tron's not a movie. What's wrong with Tron? Tron's like a cool movie. It is. But boy, that tech in the wrong hands could put you in a bad place.
So Tyler, you told me something in confidence weeks ago that
You hate Tron.
no, I've brought this up on the show before. Okay. That one guilty pleasure that you have are music biopics.
Yes.
You like music artist biopics, and you even told me bad music biopics. Like you don't mind watching the garbage ones either, which is why I think you'll love the new Amy Winehouse biopic. That's
I'll go
coming
see
out.
it.
Yeah,
It looks bad.
we'll go check that out. It does not look great. The more I see of it, I'm like, this looks like a Tyler guilty pleasure to me.
See, I feel like that movie's right in my sweet spot with music biopics because I don't have a ton of attachment to Amy Winehouse. I like Valerie all right, but I don't know a ton of her music, so I'm not going to be like nitpicking the movie like, oh, that doesn't look like her. They got this concert wrong. I'll just watch it and listen to music.
Is there any chance that's tonight's Screen Unseen? Is there a chance that's what Tyler's walking into?
I would prefer it more than Boy Kills World.
I feel like it's too far ahead
I don't know.
to be tonight. But
It would be ironic if it was.
I only know who Amy Winehouse is because of Rockstar, because you used that Rehab song in a trash open back in the day.
She had great hair.
John, you have a guilty pleasure when it comes to films, and it is these type of films, the ones that really raise technological questions. Why you love Black Mirror so much?
Now, Black Mirror can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I could just let, name episodes.
We will eventually get to a Lunce's List that just profiles Black Mirror. So this is your warning now that if you want to stay up to date with all the Lunce's Lists, go watch every season of Black Mirror and then come back. And by then we will hopefully have a Lunce's List that you can approve of.
I'd say go watch Westworld 2 from a technological standpoint, but it doesn't exist anywhere. They killed it. They took it away from everything.
That's true. All right, let's go to number 3 on Lunce's List of the 5 movies that say technology kind of could cause some problems. Number 5, The Island. Number 4, Tron. I feel like we're about to start getting into the meat and potatoes of this list with number 3. I can feel it coming this way. Number 3.
Oh, The Social Network.
Social Network.
That's kind of like the Social.
I feel like we have
Never seen it.
discussed
/
some Social
The
Network.
Circle. I haven't seen that one.
Oh,
That's another TBS movie.
this is a 2-for-1 you're going with on Lunce's List?
I am, because I feel they kind of go together. So
It's a heck of a double feature, huh?
The Circle had a lot of promise.
Tom Hanks.
Emma Watson coming off Harry Potter, John Boyega coming off Star Wars. Had a lot of promise. It did not live up to the promise. However, whole point of it is basically Emma Watson goes and works for an Apple-style company, and they have a social network that basically she becomes the test pilot for somebody who's like a 24/7 social network person, and she wears like a camera where everywhere she goes is basically broadcast to the world. And it's kind of like a new age Twitch / Facebook kind of combination thing. But the social network, and we brought it up, it was right on the list before we even brought it up, earlier today that it is Facebook being established, the algorithms that Facebook have, the fact that any app I open up on this phone right now knows personal stuff about me, whether I want it to or not, and the terrifyingness that goes with that. Circle taking it kind of to another step when it comes to what social network could actually be. But, I literally wrote, so I like to make notes on this to make sure I say everything. I literally wrote one thing, social media, am I right? And that's pretty much it.
Guys, is there anybody in this room that denies the fact that you'll have a conversation, you won't search anything on your phone, and then all of a sudden on your phone you will see a product comes up that correlates directly with that conversation that you had privately? Is there anybody denying that happens?
I have not looked at one thing about wrestling, but the first ad I got served was about wrestling. Just because we've been talking about WrestleMania, I literally opened my phone just to see what kind of ad I would get, and it was a thing about buying merch for WrestleMania.
Okay.
Do we care?
The next was Hulu. You just mentioned watching a movie on Hulu. I don't remember what it was, but you said I'm going to watch it on Hulu. Yeah, you're going to watch First Omen once it goes on Hulu. I just heard the word Hulu.
I just got one for the Treaty of Zimbabwe.
That's the worst.
They're listening
to
to
the
us.
things he said.
It's huge. It's a huge deal, guys.
But anyway, yeah.
Sorry for that. But
social media, am I right?
But do we actually care? Do Americans care?
Oh, I don't care. Like when the thing is when TikTok,
the whole debate over TikTok. That's
when TikTok goes Capitol Hill, every single word that a congressman brings up about it, I don't care. If I'm being honest, because guess what? The government's already got it anyway. Why do I care that somebody on TikTok has it?
This is the Chinese government.
I know it's okay as long as the U.S. government's the one taking your information. But like the truth is, and now look, they bring up like, well, what about this TikTok challenge that was a dangerous thing? Literally every social network out there does the exact same thing that TikTok does.
What if I told you
it's just Chinese doing it? The Chinese people doing it instead of American people doing it.
What if anybody remember the cinnamon challenge?
Well, a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Let's say, what if I get all my news from Facebook? Everything I get from all my news is from Facebook. Would you want to talk to me? Would you believe everything I get is from headlines from my Facebook feed? Is that not dangerous?
I think we are all dumber. I'm just gonna say
we're all dumber, and there's plenty of positives. Don't get me wrong. And I think positives ultimately outweigh the negatives. You just think about negatives more than positives, because I follow hundreds, thousands of people on all these social media networks and hardly see anything negative on any of them. But because now there's algorithms saying, hey, why don't you go to the For You page instead of just your following page, then you see some negative stuff. I mean, you talk about getting awful ads and awful things on your For You page all the time. I get it all the time on mine.
Yeah.
It's just it's like, hey, do you like this awful thing? Well, if you do, then you can see more of it.
And just know anything that you buy online, you will then see ads for that type of product from all the different competitors, nonstop, 24/7, 365. So before you buy anything that you don't want to be harassed with visually, when it comes to these advertisements, it's just the world we live in now. It's sort of how free are these services actually? Because what it is we're giving up all of our personal information, we're giving up all of our time, and we're really...
Anybody wants to know my name, number, and where I live, it's out there.
You want to go ahead and do it right now?
I don't care if Facebook knows it or not. No, you just got to work for it, but it's out there.
All right. You got to at least buy it on the dark web.
That's right.
All right, let's go to number 2 on Lunce's list of the 5 technologically advanced movies that have terrifying consequences.
So I don't know about you, Tim, but when you gave the topic list, there were 3 movies I instantly thought of. Haven't seen any of them yet.
I know one of them that will be on the list for sure. I'm sure it's going to be number 1. But number 2 is... Number 2.
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner. Fascinating.
So this is
These
my
2 of them are
AI
on there.
pick. Basically AI pick. Where this would have been 2001 Space Odyssey here. So basically the whole point of Blade Runner is replicants, those are the robots in it, are basically built to handle slave labor, fight wars, all the kind of things humans don't want to do. And they get the free will to go and do that stuff, and they decide, hey, we're going to come back and cause a ruckus. So Blade Runners are the ones that retire replicants, aka kill them.
Ruckus.
So this basically brings up the technology of, hey, we want to create robots to go do all of our dirty work for us. And then when they turn on us, we're like, oh, what happened? I gave you free will. You should be happy. It's like, you gave me free will so I can turn on you and kill you if I want to. So this brings up kind of the AI of, we're going to reach a certain point that those Boston Dynamics robots that we always love to watch videos of are going to get the AI that we're currently playing around with on ChatGPT. and that's it. Judgment Day happens.
All right, this is the most depressing version of Lunce's List.
You said you wanted terrifying technology.
This was my fault. I created this.
It's like I do Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Now we're all
You
victims.
shrink yourself and a snake eats you. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
But anyway, honorable mention iRobot 2 because I don't know if y'all liked iRobot.
I liked iRobot.
Okay. It was okay. I hated that the trailer spoiled it.
But the whole thing is, they give you there's 3 laws, but the robots have to live by. But then it's like
Asimov.
What happens if you tell a robot to break a rule that's serving you and put it in a conflict and stuff like that? Then that kind of goes along with AI. If you set the rules of AI, which had to be set, and then ask it to break the rules, then what happens? So I liked iRobot. It's a little goofy. Shia LaBeouf really didn't have a purpose in the film, but it's kind of the same thing. Indiana Jones and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Okay, there's only one spot left, and there's still a couple of films that I'm wondering how they didn't make the list. So maybe that happens here, but we're just gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see.
Number one was the easiest choice for me, but it's probably not a movie that you thought I would have put on the list. I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know. All right,
Tyler.
I mean, I still haven't seen any of my picks yet, or any of the 3 I thought John would pick, rather.
We talked about this beforehand, me and Tyler sort of like guessing what would be on here.
Okay, it's none of my 3. Number 1, Minority Report.
That is a scary concept.
Okay, that is one of the films that I thought should have been on the list, is Minority Report, so I'll give you that. Let's really quickly here, before we get into Minority Report, because it's going to be a discussion. Couple of films real quick. Terminator.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking Terminator 2, Judgment Day, The Matrix, and Ex Machina.
Ex Machina.
So Ex Machina I put as an honorable mention. The only thing with that is what is in Ex Machina is the same that's in Blade Runner. Really and truly. Terminator, same as in Blade Runner. Matrix, a little different, but I did have Matrix as an honorable mention. But really a lot of that has to do with creating killer robots, basically. I mean,
Primer
and AI, piloting those killer robots. Now, Minority Report, imagine being arrested for a crime you didn't even know you were going to commit.
I love
terrifying
how well this movie has aged.
It's a great movie.
It really has become more and more the norm, and we're reaching a point where you are going to walk into a store and immediately it's going to know what to sell you. That's basically what we've been talking about here with our phones. But it was way ahead of its time. Spielberg behind this, Tom Cruise.
Yep.
Guys, this movie has aged incredibly well, in my opinion.
It has, and
got a lot of things right.
And basically, not only you get arrested basically for a crime you didn't know you're about to commit, or you may know you're going to commit it, but you haven't committed it yet. But on top of that, there's a lot of human interaction with it because it literally takes from 3 humans sitting in the pool, basically, that, their mind is what ends up generating it for you. So there's like not only the fear of, oh man, I didn't know I was about to create that crime, also mixed with, well, are you sure you got it right kind of thing. And that, crime has disappeared basically because you arrested all these people, but it also kind of begs the question, how many people did you arrest that may not have actually committed that crime? How many times did you get a detail wrong? Which is kind of the premise of the film, that Tom Cruise has to prove himself, that like there's a lot of technology and human interaction with it all kind of combined, that it was an easy number 1 for me.
Sometimes surveillance can be a bad thing, like Minority Report. Sometimes it can be a good thing, like when you're trying to accomplish your dietary goals. And we appreciate the surveillance.
I was waiting to see which way you were going with that.
Of our team at Way to Wellness, board certified and led by Leslie. And it's a wonderful experience every time we go in, John. And I didn't know any other way to segue out of Minority Report than to say what I said. And I stand by it.
Yes, go to the internet, which is a dangerous place. But one great place you can go is aplanforme.com. And you can learn more about our friends at Way to Wellness. Go visit Leslie and her whole board certified team. They'll give you that consultation. They'll set you up on a plan that'll work for you, just like there's a plan that works for me, a plan that works for Tim, a plan that works for Jim Dunaway, my dad, a whole family affair there with our friends at Way to Wellness. Go to aplanforme.com. By the way, one honorable mention I really wanted to include in the list, but I didn't. I really like the movie. It's a movie called Gamer. Anybody seen that with Gerard Butler?
Yes, Gerard Butler's in that movie.
The whole thing is basically people control inmates as video game characters and play. It's almost like Fortnite before Fortnite became a thing. Basically you get put into a game and you can win your freedom if you end up winning with a real person, but it's kind of that hey, we'll use inmates to, play our games with the technology that they can implant in them and everything. I actually thought it was a really good movie.
Could have put War Games on this list had you decided to go that route as well.
I could.
Yeah.
And Surrogates. I don't know if anybody ever saw this terrible movie.
Bruce Willis?
Bruce Willis, basically, people take over fake bodies and
Horrible movie.
awful movie. The premise is really good, I think,
Yeah.
but a really bad movie. But basically, I just lay in bed and I buy a new body, and my mind goes in that body, and I basically live in that body instead while I'm rotting away in my bed. I'll also say there's one. So I said terrifying for me and other people are very different. To be honest, the world of Wall-E, I am all about.
Yeah.
I am all about that
Sweet
world.
chairs.
If you can just hover around in a chair all day and play golf and do all that stuff and not even realize you're on a spaceship floating off into...
See, why didn't you say this before I
Into
went into Way to
Neverland?
Wellness? Because it would have worked perfect.
Eva.
Anyway.
Gosh, use that material beforehand.